You think that pathetic hobby will get you anywhere. You are a Takeda. Act like one.
It's not a hobby. It's my life. And I am not going to waste it behind some desk.
Then you are no son of mine. Get out now.
Fine. I'll prove you wrong without your name.
The door slammed behind him. No money, no home. Just his bike and the cold night air. He stood outside the iron gates for the last time, the mansion's lights shrinking behind him.
From here on, I am on my own, and I'll make them remember the name I build.
The engine roared to life, a promise he intended to keep. He didn't look back again. There was nothing left there for him. In that moment, Kazu Takeda became a stranger to the world he was born into, and his real race had just begun. Kazu rode till exhaustion took over. The city's glitter faded into rain-soaked alleys, his fuel gauge on empty. He stumbled upon a ramshackle garage, its sign barely hanging. An old mechanic looked up from a cluttered bench.
You look like you've been chewed up and spit out, kid. Need a hand or just shelter from the rain?
I don't have any money, but I can work. Anything. I know my way around an engine.
Work, huh? I've got a mountain of repairs and not enough years left. No bikes?
Better than anything else in my life. Let me prove it.
Yama nodded slowly and led him inside, past shelves of forgotten machinery to a dusty corner. Under a greasy tarp lay a vintage race bike, its frame rusted but intact. A forgotten thoroughbred.
A classic two-stroke. It's a wreck, but the skeleton is strong. I can bring this back.
For the first time since that night, Kazu felt a pull stronger than despair. Here, he could build something new. The underground circuit was a neon cathedral for outcasts. Kazu's restored bike hummed beneath him, ready.
No last name, no legacy, just the engine's scream.
He launched off the line, cutting through the pack like a blade. Each turn silenced another doubt.
This is the only truth that matters.
The checkered flag dropped. Kazu crossed first. A phantom made real, prize money in his fist. A few strangers chanting his name. He felt whole. Word traveled fast. In a corporate tower, Kenji Takeda received a small, insignificant report.
He won some trash alley race. Let him play. He'll crawl back when he's hungry enough.
The old man crumpled the paper and turned back to his empire, utterly unconcerned. Miles away, Kazu thumbed the cash and felt a dangerous hope. The next race was already calling.
These parts aren't cheap. You are risking all your winnings.
I can't stay in the underground forever. This bike needs teeth.
A week later, Kazu sat in a sleek corporate lounge, across from a man with blank eyes and a checkbook. He'd prepared numbers, track records, a future built on torque and grit. None of it mattered. The sponsor's assistant had already made the call. The Takeda name was a poison he couldn't afford to touch.
So even here, his shadow finds me. I am not his son. I am his contamination.
The rejection wasn't about talent. It was about blood. And his father had made sure it would stain every hand he reached for.
No luck with the suits, huh? I told you, those vultures only care about safe bets.
Then I'll build something they can't ignore. I won't beg for a seat at their table.
His father's shadow was long, but Kazu decided he'd outrun it, on his own terms, on his own track. Months of relentless racing led to this. Kazu crossing the line first, trophy aloft, the crowd a blur of noise.
I am not just a street rat. I am a champion.
At Takeda Corp, a leaked internal memo revealed dangerous cost cuts. The boardroom erupted in panic. Kenji's authority cracked. For once, his power didn't silence the whispers. A scout from a struggling team watched Kazu's victory. He offered a contract. The team was broke, but the ride was real. Kazu held the offer. No first-class treatment. No guarantees. Just a chance.
A year ago, I had nothing. Now I have a shot. I am taking it.
He signed the paper in a dim garage office, the pen weightless compared to the gamble.
This is the only path. No more back alleys. It's pro or nothing.
The The team's survival depended on him. The next season would decide if he rose or crashed. The season opener was brutal. Kazu pushed the wounded bike past its limits, finishing third.
Points are all that matter. I'll bleed for everyone.
Each podium funded a new part for the garage. He invested his entire purse back into the team's skeleton. The owner, seeing the shift, handed him shares. Kazu became a partner, not just a rider.
Now, I am building something, not just racing.
By mid-season, the team was a threat. Sponsors called, but Kazu refused any tied to his father's world. At Takeda Corp, the board circled Kenji. A shareholder revolt loomed if he didn't reverse the slide.
The wolves are at the door. I must find a scapegoat.
Kazu read the financial pages with cold detachment. His father's empire was cracking, but his own was rising. He was no longer just a racer. He was the foundation of a team that now depended entirely on his mind and muscle. The pain of building a bike from scratch had taught him something. He could make parts better than the factories. He registered the name in a cramped office, Kazu Racing Industries, a dream made legal.
Now I don't just race for a team. I build the machines that win.
His high-performance parts spread through garages and tracks. The brand built itself on torque, not talk. The Takeda board was less patient. Kenji's attempts to shift blame failed. A formal demand was drafted. Repair the corporate image within 60 days or resign.
After everything I sacrificed, they treat me like a disposable asset.
Miles away, Kazu's first quarterly report showed a net profit that silenced every early detractor. His factory was now the backbone of his team, and his name meant precision. The two Takedas were now on opposite trajectories, one rising on his own terms, the other clawing at the ledge. In a brightly lit studio, Kazu faced the cameras for the first time as a national figure.
Your success has a dark origin. Tell us why Kenji Takeda is absent from your story.
He threw me out for choosing the track over his boardroom. I was nothing to him. A father shouldn't make his son beg for approval. So I stopped.
The clip exploded. Within hours, Kenji Takeda was trending, and not for business. Kenji watched in silence, his knuckles white on the armrest.
That ungrateful boy. He's painting me as a monster.
The next day, the board made it clear. Fix this image, or clear your desk.
I have to bring him back. It's the only way.
The ultimatum had a timer. Kazu had become the one person Kenji couldn't afford to ignore. Two executives in tailored suits arrived at Kazu's office, carrying a proposal wrapped in a father's name. Kenji offered a share of Takeda Corp if Kazu returned, denounced racing, and stood beside him publicly.
Tell him I'd rather build my own legacy than inherit his ruins.
The intermediaries left with nothing but his silence. The rejection hit Kenji like a public slap.
If he won't come willingly, I'll crush what he's built.
Within days, a legal challenge landed on the team's permit renewals. Obscure zoning violations, clearly manufactured. Kazu's lawyer handed him the papers. His expression didn't change.
He thinks he can drown us in ink, but I've built walls he can't buy.
The war had shifted from estrangement to sabotage. No more intermediaries. Just two Takedas locked in a silent, steel-eyed fight. Kazu's legal team dismantled the zoning challenge. The court saw a transparent vendetta, not a valid claim. The countersuit exposed Kenji's fingerprints on the fabrication. Evidence leaked to the press within hours. Headlines roared. Takeda Corp tries to crush son's racing dream. Public outrage intensified against Kenji. The stress crushed him. Kenji's health buckled. His doctor ordered complete rest.
I am losing everything, and my body is failing.
A new report landed on his desk. Kazu Racing Industries was officially valued at $100 million.
This is what I built, not inherited.
He was now the head of a $100 million empire, and the only one who could pull Kenji from the fire. The board abandoned him. Creditors circled. He had nothing left but a bitter hope. Kenji would have to face his son, not as a titan, but as a beggar. The Kazu Racing Center gleamed under sunlight, a cathedral of chrome and asphalt, his name towering above the crowd.
Every bolt, every trophy, every scar, it all led here. And no one can take it away.
Then, from the edge of the crowd, a frail figure pushed forward. Kenji Takeda, pale and leaning on a cane. Gasps rippled. Cameras pivoted. Kenji stopped a few feet from Kazu, his pride visibly shattered.
Kazu, I need to speak with you. Not as a Takeda to a Takeda to a Takeda, but as a man who has nothing left.
You came to my opening to beg. The same man who said I'd be nothing.
I was wrong. Please, just a few minutes. Not here.
He's broken. Is this what I wanted? Seeing him like this. It doesn't feel like victory. Tomorrow, my penthouse. You'll get 5 minutes. No cameras. No games.
Kenji nodded and vanished into the crowd, but the cameras had already caught the moment. The fallen king, bowing to the emperor. The next morning, Kenji entered the penthouse, smaller than the man in his memory.
Takeda Corp is bankrupt. The board wants my resignation. I need a loan to survive. Merge my remaining assets with yours. Use my name. It still opens some doors.
And what do I get? A father who sees me as a tool. Simple question. Do you regret disowning me? Yes or no?
Kenji's mouth opened. The air thickened. No words came.
Still, after everything, you can't say it. That's my answer. I won't loan money to a man who still sees my life as a mistake.
Kazu, please, pride was all I had. Give me a chance to make it right.
Kazu didn't move. The meeting ended in a chasm of unsaid words.
Then meet my condition. Apologize to me publicly, on national television.
The line went dead silent. Kenji's hand trembled around the receiver.
He wants to strip me bare in front of the whole country.
But his board had already ratified the ultimatum. A formal letter forced his hand, but the date was set. A live broadcast. Kenji Takeda would apologize to his son in front of millions. Kazu watched the announcement from his penthouse, arms crossed, expression stone.
If this is another lie, I'll know. His voice won't hide the truth.
Nationwide, screens flickered with the countdown. The Takeda apology became national theater. In the green room, Kenji stared at the mirror, the weight of years pressing down. The broadcast light went red. He stepped into the glare, the words not yet formed. On every screen, Kenji bowed stiffly. I was wrong to turn my back on my son. The words felt measured, not felt.
I disowned him because he chose a different path. That was my failure, not his. I apologize.
Kazu's fingers dug into the armrest. The syllables were correct, but the rhythm was hollow.
He's following a script. The real apology never left his throat.
Kazu, did you see it? Can we try to be a family now?
Silence stretched. Kazu closed his eyes and saw the boardroom ultimatum, not a father's heart.
Something is still missing. I need to see the books. The real books.
He called his financial team that night. A full forensic audit of Takeda Corp, immediate. Files began to move. Offshore accounts, shell companies, altered ledgers. The excavation had begun. Kenji expected a check. Instead, Kazu deployed a microscope. The truth would decide everything. 3 days later, the forensic report landed. Kazu read it alone in his penthouse, the silence evaporating. Embezzlement. Offshore shell companies. Years of siphoning investor money to personal accounts.
He wasn't just a bad father. He was a criminal. Every asset he offered was stolen.
The numbers were undeniable. Kenji had looted the company he demanded his son inherit.
He wanted me to rescue him with dirty money, to make me an accessory.
All the apologies, the television spectacle. It was just a cover to bury the evidence.
If I give him a loan now, I become part of the fraud. My empire gets tainted.
He had two choices. Expose his father and destroy him completely, or confront him privately first.
Do I give him one last chance to confess, or do I send the evidence to the prosecutor?
The evidence burned in his grip. The next move would define not just his future, but his soul.
Sit down. I have something you didn't want me to see.
He slid the forensic report across the glass desk. Kenji's eyes traced the red flags and froze.
How did you get this?
You were siphoning money for years. The bankruptcy was a mask.
I was desperate. The debts were crushing me. I meant to pay it back.
Investors lost their savings. You tried to bury me in legal battles. This is not desperation. It's theft.
I've changed. The apology, I did it for you. I want to make amends.
Then turn yourself in. Return the stolen money. Show me you are no longer a fraud.
I'd be destroyed. Prison would kill me. You'd let your own father rot.
Kazu slowly picked up the report. The air between them froze.
Then you leave me no choice. This report won't stay in this room.
He pressed a single button on his phone. The digital file was already queued to prosecutors and every major news outlet.
You'll regret this. When I am gone, you'll have no family left.
Family ended the night. You threw me out. This is just the consequence.
The arrest was broadcast live. Kenji Takeda led away in handcuffs, his empire collapsing around him. Public outrage exploded. Investors celebrated the reckoning. Kazu's phone vibrated with messages of support and silent worry.
I did what was necessary. So, why does it feel like I lost something too?
The racing empire stood untouched. His factory hummed with clean money. But the silence in his penthouse was deafening. A week later, a formal letter arrived from the penitentiary. Kenji would face trial in 6 months. Kazu read it twice and tucked it away. The war was over, but peace hadn't arrived. A year passed. The racing empire ran cleanly. Then a letter arrived, stamped from the penitentiary.
He wrote me himself. After 12 months of silence.
The words were shaky. Kenji begged for a single visit, claiming he had found remorse. That evening, in the old diner, Kazu placed the letter beside Yama's coffee.
You are not asking me what to do. You are asking if it's safe.
He ruined my life, but he's still the only father I have. What if there's something left?
Then go. Not for him. For the boy who once waited at the gate. You deserve to see him small.
Steam curled between them. Kazu stared at the letter, then nodded slowly.
I'll go, but this time, I am in control. No more lies.
The visit was scheduled for Thursday. Kazu didn't know what he'd find. A broken man or a rehearsed act. Either way, he'd face it. The prison visiting room was sterile, cold. Kazu sat behind the thick glass, phone in hand.
I am not asking for money, not today. I just needed you to hear this. When I saw you on television, building that empire, I knew I'd been wrong, so wrong. You are the Takeda I failed to become. I am proud of you, Kazu.
The words hit like a fist. Kazu's hand trembled around the receiver.
I waited years for this. Why can't I speak?
I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know. The man you became saved me.
A tear slid down Kazu's cheek. He didn't wipe it away.
He said it. After everything. He finally said it.
The silence stretched. No forgiveness yet. Just the raw, unbearable weight of truth finally spoken. Kazu pushed through the exit, leaving the glass and concrete behind. The sky was pale orange. He saw himself that night, 19, drenched in rain, staring at the iron gates.
He said he's proud, and I still couldn't speak a word.
The first sob broke. His shoulders shook against the bike's cold metal.
I don't need forgiveness to be free. I just need to let go.
He cried for the lost years, not for his father. For the boy who once waited at the gate. The weight that had driven him for so long began to dissolve.
I built an empire. I don't need his approval. I am already free.
He finally turned the key. The engine roared, steady and strong. Kazu rode into the sunset, his shoulders still trembling, but his grip on the throttle lighter. A week later, Kazu stood at a youth racing track. A crowd of young riders gripping their helmets.
Mom would have wanted this. She believed in dreams over desks.
He unveiled a plaque. The Yuki Takeda Youth Racing Foundation. The check was large enough to fund a generation.
This money won't fix the past, but it might build a future that never needed a father's approval.
That afternoon, he visited a quiet grave under a cherry blossom tree, the white petals drifting slowly.
I saw him. Mom, he said the words. But I am still me. I am still your son.
He placed white lilies on the stone. The petals caught the wind and scattered into the light.
I won't carry his chains anymore. My legacy starts now.
He stood there a long time, the silence no longer heavy. The weight of his father's shadow had finally lifted. When he walked away, the empire was still his, but no longer his obsession. The next generation would carry his fire. Years later, Kazu stood at the youth track, steadying a young rider on a tiny bike. The boy's eyes held the same fire he once felt. In his office, the restored childhood bike gleamed under soft light. He touched the handlebars gently. On his desk, a newspaper lay open. The headline read, "The $100 million racing heir who built his own legacy." Yama, in his garage, held the same paper, a tear tracing his cheek. That evening, they sat in the old diner, clinking chipped coffee mugs.
You did it, kid. Not just the money. You kept your soul.
I had a good teacher who never gave up on a soaked stranger.
Later, alone, he stood before the restored bike, now under a gallery spotlight. Then at dawn, he rode out on the open highway, the engine singing, the horizon infinite. He didn't look back. The road ahead was his, and it was enough.